Okay. Hello, brother Kumar. This is gonna be my senior project status report for week 10. There's so much to talk about that I decided to record a video, so it's easier to go through everything instead of writing text and putting screenshots up in a Word document. Okay, so let me just share my screen over here and have a little script here for what I'm gonna talk about, and hopefully I'll cover everything. So if you look at the like how many hours I spent this week, 24. Since I had the baby and everything, like I didn't have to. Any other weeks I was busy with other things and I didn't put as much effort as I wanted in this project. Like I basically didn't do any homework for the other classes and spent like from Monday to Thursday 100% of my time on this project so I could speed it up a little bit. So I'm gonna talk about what happened so far. So if you take a look at the my previous report when I said that I was gonna use Android templates to like make it easier for me to just focus on a back end to get it done and just use those templates. This was in the original plan, and then I just started looking into it. And last time I developed in Android was like 3 years ago, so I forgot everything like on how to use Android. Like I still know how to use Java, but like on top of Java, you have all the functionality that Google adds to Android, and I had to relearn everything. And I decided that like using an existing template, since they are applying all the good Android practices into it, it makes it really hard for to understand. So I have to spend like a long time trying to like familiarize myself with Android and also what people did to their code and then trying to change it. And on top of that, I learned that all those templates have this Apache 2.0 license. It's probably like open source. I can use it, but like I didn't want to spend like more time seeing what's up with this license, what I need to do to use it. So I just like spent time learning Android basically, or relearning. So the things like I spent time learning that are like um, Android is not like HTML where you just had your tags and call it a day. Um, you have the things that are like useful for my app are activities, fragments, intents, and views. So basically in an app you have this here. I'm gonna rebuild as I talk. An activity is like a single activity, as the name says, like it's something the user might do. So in let's say if you're using Twitter, it might be writing a tweet, clicking the plus button, writing a text, and then posting it. This whole thing that might be just a single page or several is an activity. That's the idea here in Android. And an activity will be a class in Java, and this class will reference a few XML files. Those XMLs are the views. So it's basically like the HTML of the pages. So let me open one here as an example. Okay, so I have two activities so far. So let's take a look at main here, and then scroll down a little bit. And let me close this emulator that I'm not using anymore. Okay, so I can either create those views straight through putting tags in XML tags, or I can like drag and drop things like put the button, put a text, put some input. So for example, if I take a look at my setup activity, I have my input here, everything that I'm gonna need. This button was imported from like a different library. But basically, you have activities here, and those activities refer to those XML files. And then in fragments, so let me see if I have a fragment here. I don't. That's the thing that I saw in like a more complicated code that uses Android best practices. You break everything down into fragments, and then if I would have a fragment, I would put it here instead of this activity. And then an intent, this is important. It's like event binding in JavaScript, where if I'm collecting data from this in this form, I'm gonna send all this data in an intent to a different activity if this information is necessary in a different activity. And this is gonna be represented in my Java code whenever I need to handle this information. Okay, and another thing that I had to relearn was how to import libraries into my project. After I figured out what changes I had to make to this file, which uses a technology called Gradle, it was easy. It was just like going to the source and then pasting it here, like where I was getting all these repositories. But that took me a long time to learn or remember because I was putting the exact same thing in a different file and it wasn't pulling the repositories that I needed. So here's more a lot of time that I spent trying to get it done. But now I know what I have to do. So if I need to, I imported some buttons. I imported the library that I'm going to use to connect to the SFTP server. Now that part is like fixed, so that's good. Okay. Now talking about the server, I'm using a software called Bitwise. And this is a free version, so this will be useful for the users of this app as well because the free version allows one connection to the server, and that's all I'm going to need. Before testing the app and the server in the same computer, I had the server in a different computer. They were in the same network, but it was like impossible to get it working at the same time. Sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't. Like within the same 30 minutes, I was making some testing. So to make everything faster, I decided to put everything in the same computer. Another thing was for when people are actually using this app, they would make the IP address in their computer static. Okay, so it wouldn't change. I'm making this in my production, in my like personal computer. It breaks my connections when I take my computer somewhere else. So every time my IP changes, I just like go to the settings and change the IP that I'm using right now. So that's a compromise that I had to make. So development would go a little bit faster. Okay. Let me take a look at my notes. Yeah, I picked the name for the app. It's gonna be called Media Server. It's very anticlimactic, but it's what basically what's the app going to do. And I'll try to make a demonstration connecting to the server. Earlier I saw that the emulator wasn't working, so let me just take a look at that before I try to run the app again. Yeah, it's frozen. Thanks to the power of editing, I didn't have to sit through all that. I have my app here, and so I would start my setup activity to connect to the server. That was the biggest thing I was trying to make, like have the Android app actually connecting to the server. I have the data hard coded for now, but like in the future I'll have to actually make it dynamic so people can set up their apps. So I'll click on next here. And there's our connection. Nice. And then if I put those side by side here, and oh, where is it? Okay, here. Okay, and then let's kill the app. And the connection dies. Okay, and then let's start again, but now debugging. Should pull up the app again, but now we can walk through using the breakpoints. Spin that a little bit, and then again try to set up. should hit my breakpoint. Probably have to create more threads to make rendering a little easier. And then next. Okay, first breakpoint is already connecting, so all this happened before. We created the connection, added the user and everything. I have to talk about this line, strict host key checking. I'm gonna talk about it like in a little bit more detail in a few minutes, but basically, with SSH, there's this public and private key conversation where basically I try to connect to the server, and the server is like, okay, this is my public key. Are you okay with that? And in a perfect situation, I would know the public key and I would confirm. So that's basically what this does. Like this disables that because I would have to like know the public key. Like I have it here. It's called known hosts, where I put the IP address and the public key, but that wasn't working. It would like refuse my connection, and I tried several things and that didn't work. So I decided to not do that for now. Okay. And then back to the server handler, if I step over to actually connect, let's see, maybe because I was waiting too long, it would not do it. Let's give it a go. Okay, let's take a look at the server, and the connection is here. Okay, all pretty. So that's basically it. I know it looks like very simplistic, and the idea that I have for like sending the files should be easy to implement, but you never know what happens. But like most of the work that I had in a week was that I can connect to the server. I have a very bare bones app where I can put this information in and attempt a connection. Hopefully, when I try that with the external computer, that works a little better than now. As in like how up to date I am with my schedule, I'm not, because I was trying to do several things at the same time because they were interdependent, but I'm making some progress. Thanks for watching. Sorry for making this video pretty long, but that's all I had for the week. Thank you so much.